Sorry.
I mean, as much as you can, all of you, if you can, switch on your videos. It'd be nice for Yikiat and us to see your face. At least we can put a face to the name, or else it's just words that we are talking to. It's already, very impersonal enough, talking to a screen. It'd be nice to help us, put a friendly face to your name. That really helps us in our ability to communicate and to also, have a bit more life. Yeah, I think that's what everybody needs now. Coming into a 1 month of a lockdown, I think we need more of that interaction. So it's lovely to see your face. Yeah, see, we can.
Wow.
I see a snapping alligator right now. Awesome, lovely.
I have a small grid, which is like 6 thumbnails. So I thought there's only like 6 people, but I'm dragging
No,
bigger,
bro,
and
that's
there's like
43 already.
oh shit, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, you're popular. You're popular.
Hello
And you're still
everyone.
streaming in. Yeah. Please, for those of you who just came in, please do us a favor. Just drop a note in the chat. Put in your Instagram handle, perhaps. Tell us where you're from, Singapore. Wherever you're from, so that everybody kind of knows where you are, and everybody looking at the chat, you can follow each other as well. Let's create community. Let's help each other by following each other as well. That's kind of cool. Yep. No need to follow Yikiat lah. He's got too many followers.
Yeah.
You can follow me. You can follow Brian.
Yeah.
You can follow Raw. Yeah. What's your countdown? Yikiat? Bloody hell.
It's 370. Yeah.
370,000, right? Can
Yeah.
I borrow about maybe 13,000 maybe?
I wish there's a black
Give me
market where I
1%,
can trade.
Yeah. Can I borrow like 13,000 from you?
I wish there was a black market where you can do that. That would be interesting trading
On loan,
stocks.
right? Temporary loan out 10,000 followers first.
Yes.
Hey, I think you can. Yeah, imagine you create a social media for that. Loan out your followers.
That is a good market actually.
Yeah.
We're brainstorming. I love it. We're brainstorming to help each other make money.
Wow, there's a lot of people from different places. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the
we
beauty
will-
of what's
Hello, Warren.
happening.
Hmm.
Eric, hi. Warren, hi. Joshua, Cepheus. Cepheus is helping us launch this entire session straight into Facebook Live. So that's one of his specialties, doing, how would you say this, Cepheus? Doing live casting or live projection.
I think the more generic term is just live stream. So I can,
Live streaming, yes.
live stream multi-camera live stream at any location as long as there's 4G reception.
Awesome. So yeah, that's what Cepheus does. Ooh, hello. Shit. Hello.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, can hear you.
I think we can create a watch group or something on Facebook, right? Iki, I'm gonna tag you. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm gonna
yeah.
tag you on IG to create that thing. Watch party. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not very good with all this.
Is it like Instagram or is a Facebook Live?
It's a Facebook Live. Because Instagram doesn't allow third-party applications. You have to launch IG Live from the IG app only. And it's for free.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Jeff, hang. Everyone, while waiting for the rest to come in, just say hi, hello into the chat box. And, you can just share your Instagram so that, we can take a look later on. Also, if you have any questions later to EKIAT, you can just also type in the chat box and we'll try our best, to answer it. All right.
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of you are also wondering what is RAW. So for those who, I think a good majority of you are new here. So what RAW is all about is this community studio that we have in the center of town. It's near Dhoby Ghaut area. So it's a 2-story shop house where we have like all the studio lights. We have LED lights that is available for you to use when you rent the studio. And rental of our studio is actually quite affordable, especially for students. We will do something special for you. EKIAT was with us on our RAW away trip as well. We went to Phuket for this amazing workshop. It was like crazy fun. Yeah, everybody was high. Everybody was having fun. There was a lot of challenges and things like that. Yeah. So the most important part of RAW is that we are trying to build a community for photographers, regardless of who you are, what you shoot, and what kind of level you are actually. So if you are just a beginner who just bought your new camera, it doesn't matter because we always encourage you to share, and also we encourage you to ask questions. There's no questions that's too noob for anybody. Yeah. So because photography has always been something that people are always very afraid of asking questions that might make them look silly. Yeah, so RAW is this place where we try to grow this community with all the amazing people out there, and hopefully you guys and girls have a place to learn and play and work at the same time. And most of our workshops are actually free. So maybe for those who are still in school, after school you can drop by our studio to attend our workshops. And those who are like you want to do something fun, you have an interesting project, you can also write into us. And if we think that your project is good enough, we may offer the studio for you to use for free. Yeah. So this is what the beauty of RAW is all about. Is Jeff back?
Well, I think... Oh, he got cut off again. No, he's in.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funky. Sorry, guys. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Everybody? Yes? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So while I was at it, so those who wants to see what RAW looks like, okay, for those who have never been, especially all the young students out there, you can actually go to our Facebook page. Yeah, you can see how our whole studio looks like. It's a very good place to hang out, just to chat, to have fun and learn. Yeah, it's amazing. Just go and check it out.
Or you can accompany me. This thing is over.
Yeah. We are open for internships as well. So if you're interested, you can always write into us. Yeah, we'd be happy to teach you guys and help everyone out.
Okay. All right. I guess we can start. Yeah. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hi guys. Lovely having everybody. Welcome to another edition of RAW live sessions. This is something that we have been doing for about two weeks now. 2-3 weeks now actually. So today we have a amazing young talented photographer by the name of EKIAT, Lee EKIAT, and famously known as YK. I've had the pleasure of knowing him a couple of years back when we were doing a Leica exhibition together, Leica paired us together, like a old man and a young boy kind of relationship to create a very exciting exhibition. It was perhaps one of my most favorite exhibitions we've ever done. It was a very interactive, augmented reality exhibition we did for Leica because both of us were at that time Leica ambassadors. So moving forward, a little insight into what YK is about. YK started his photographic journey only 7 years ago, 6.5, 7 years ago, when he was in his teens. Then thereafter, he went into the army. And that's when things started to escalate quite a lot in terms of the way he used, photography and created this whole social media, platform through Instagram to grow his audience and to build his craft. What I love about Iket is the fact that, at this young age, he's able to find a style, and, finding a style and a look, it's not easy. A lot of photographers will go on for years, for decades, not even finding their own style. So for him to find a style, that early on in his career is very inspiring to me. What I love about his work is his amazing eye. A lot of the places that he's been to, I've been to around the world, and I stepped at that spot, at that very same spot, but he seemed to be able to portray and capture it in a way where I will go, wow, that's a very interesting angle. And I think that's the charm and the beauty of what YK is about. He's able to see what nobody sees, and that what makes him have that kind of following and have that kind of talent that is surpassing everybody else in this very crowded space of photography. You know what I mean? Because there's so many, street photographers, there's so many landscape photographers out there. What makes him different? It's his ability to see and portray something very differently in a color, right? In a color that is so distinctively his as well. So I think that's a very, very impressive thing that YK has done. To stop me from rambling, I think I will, without further ado, introduce Iket to you. YK?
Yeah, so hello guys. From everywhere, you guys are all around the world. That's amazing. So just a quick introduction. For those who know or may not know me, I am based out here in Singapore and 24 years old. So I started photography as it didn't start out as a hobby. So for a lot of people, it started out as a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I actually didn't start liking taking pictures because at the very start I was only curious. So I was curious taking photos because people take nice photos. So I was like, back then it was like just iPhone 4, I think 4 or 5. Yeah. So I started with mobile photography and stuck onto that for about 3 years, which was a very important phase because digital phone photography eliminates a lot of technical stuff, and you only need to focus on composition, framing, and getting the right angles. So I had a strong foundation in that before I moved on to a proper camera. So that was my starting journey. I shot on mobile for about 3 years, and I got onto my first DSLR 3 years after. Total journey until now is about 7 years, 6.5, 7 years, and it is not easy. There's a lot of ups and downs, and it gets harder and harder because now there's so many gears that are cheap and that's available. Anyone can be a photographer. Anyone can mimic my photo, vice versa. So what stands out and what makes you unique is a style that you have and a distinct kind of style that you can develop in an image that speaks to people, so they don't have to see, they just see your image and they'll think of your name. So I think that is one of the goals that I'm trying to refine and achieve, which is not easy at all. There's huge saturation of content out there, too much content for an individual to even absorb. So to stand out is even more important in the current times. Yeah.
So Iket, how do you actually feel when you just started out and then you found this calling to to actually do this kind of editing the way you should. And then suddenly, because you're popular, and then everyone else on Instagram just starts to copy you. And, I'm sure this is a question that everybody wants to know as well. How do you get past that for yourself as a developing, personality? Yeah.
So you mean like how do I overcome the like people trying to copy me? Is it?
Yeah, because we we have seen how you actually evolve throughout the years and doing things that are like becoming more and more epic, in fact. Yeah, so maybe you want to share a bit on how you felt at the beginning when everybody started copying you, and then how you got out of it. Yeah.
I actually didn't really like look into like people who try to copy me. It's more of like self-evaluation. So when I first I would break it down into like, I would say 3 big parts. The first part, I was doing it for fun. It was very it was a group of people did it as well, because that's the trend in Instagram maybe 5 years back. It was very minimal stuff and like very pastel and white looking images. And back then I shot a bit of black and white as well. So it was a lot of black and white mixed with minimal architecture and daily life. So that was the first phase, and then everyone is just copying around each other. But then when I first got my camera, things started to change, because camera can do a lot of things. It unlocked different stuff like shooting at night, shooting in the dark, and shooting things with a great depth of field, which the phone cannot do back then. So and then I get to learn about online through online, get to learn about editing softwares and like things you can do to enhance your photos. So I looked around online and I started to develop this second phase, which is a burst of colors. So that stuck to me for quite a long time, like 2 years. So it was as you can see the sharing screen, as you scroll down, it gets more and more colorful, because my style back then was very heavily based on colors, and I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I actually liked it. I liked that phase, and it brings out certain things that that the raw photo cannot bring out. So I really enjoyed that phase, that process, and this current phase where I'm currently in is, to give it a short sentence, it would be cinematic, muted, and monochromic. So it's darker, and it doesn't apply to everything, but that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to apply this kind of style, my current style, which is a little bit darker and cinematic, into everyday life, literally everything. So that's why nowadays the things that I post, almost all of them are sliding posts, carousel. So as you slide them, some of the photos are very mundane looking, but they are like of our everyday lives. So I'm trying to incorporate that into like literally everything. So in summary, it's like I'm just self-evaluating and just seeing how my process and my journey is going to take me, and then I implement the editing process in it. So I didn't really I didn't really bother about like people trying to copy me. I don't even know if there are a lot of people trying to copy me or not. But for sure, I am copying someone else for sure. It's inevitable. There's almost impossible that you are unique individually. So I didn't really bother about that. It's just more of like how do I improve myself? How do I stand out even more?
Amazing
I think
things that you've done.
That's very valuable advice you get when you said that you are copying people and people are copying you. I think in this world originality is something that is hard to find because there's so much photography today that that, everybody somehow will probably do something that's kind of similar or if not similar to yours. So, the whole idea of, doing something that you think is original,
Might be taken.
It's not going to be,
Yeah.
So more and more, I think, when you said that you don't bother, I think that's the right spirit. In a sense, you should go ahead and just discover yourself and try to find your own voice and not try to see what other people are saying and doing. So I think that's very amazing about you.
Yeah, that applies to everything in everyday life. It's a classic saying, focus on the positive, but also focus on how to improve yourself. It is the one of the core things that I have in my photography career, and as good as you can be taking photos, you must be a good human as well. Human values are very important to photography, making it a full-time, part-time, anything. Yeah.
Lovely. So
I think there's a question from asking, what do you think of your gram? What's your strategy to curate, and do you plan your posts in a way advanced, like in 3, 6,
Blocks
or
of
9?
3,
Yeah.
So what do I think of my Instagram? I think of it as a very important global portfolio for everybody to see. So that's why you see it's very curated. I don't. There are platforms where I can be casual, but for Instagram, I am very strict and I QC myself, quality check myself a lot before I post something, because I have the out of my own social media platforms, I have the biggest one there. So I treat it with in 101% seriousness. It is and I think it's a valuable advice for people who are starting out. You have to treat your Instagram as a portfolio that everyone can see, and everyone can see. It's just a link. You type it and you enter it, and people share it, and people from all around the world can see it in seconds. Versus like in the past, museums, you have to go there and it takes a week to have 10,000 people view your gallery images in the museum. Nowadays 10,000 can be minutes. So don't put content out in just for the sake of putting out there. Quality check all the content, and my strategy is to be consistent, because consistency is is very important in social media. People follow you for what they initially like. So if they initially like an image that you post, maybe like 5 months back, they would love to see that type of content again every 2-3 days or so. So consistency is very important. So that's why whenever I post I post 1, 2, 3 images, I look at it again, and then I'll think of like next image I'm going to post, and think whether it will fit in the grid. So I don't in terms of, let me scroll up. So in terms of do I post in blocks of 3, 6, 9? No, I post in terms of how it looks, how the style of the images itself. I don't have like a 3 series. Some people do, which is very nice, but I don't have it. And I plan my posts probably like 2 days in advance, 1 day in advance. Not so much of a planning. Sometimes I even dump what I plan and then just put whatever I want that day, because it depends on my mood as well. So yeah.
Okay,
that's a great
quite
question.
Cool. Okay, I think there's this very interesting question from Kim asking about the process that early on you talk about. What actually when shooting outside. Kim, are you around? Do you want to maybe ask this, because I think the question is a little bit hard to understand. Yeah.
Do you think about the process?
I think what she's asking is there a thought process, like, do you plan your shots, or you just go out there and just shoot what you want, or today you have a theme for yourself, let's say, like, okay, I'm going to shoot only architecture today, and then I'm going to chase those shots.
Usually it's a mix, and usually if I have a plan, it just goes haywire. It doesn't go as planned, for real, because it's like I don't like to put that much pointers, so that I won't have that much creativity if I put that much pointers. I just let it flow. So in terms of planning, yes, I plan geographically. I have a location in mind, and then I'll move around there freely. So it's more like going to that place and then researching on like what's online, and just have a feel to the place when I'm there, and then just walking around aimlessly most of the time. That's for shooting for fun. If I'm shooting for like commercial stuff, of course, everything is gonna be planned. Yeah.
Which actually is a great segue into our exhibition we did. Remember we both had a little bit of teething problems getting to work with each other, in a sense. We both had a certain visual language, and then we were brainstorming, which was great, and we came up with really amazing ideas. But then when you had a brief and you went out, it was challenging for you. You remember that?
Yeah, it was. We almost reshot everything, because the images were okay. It's just it doesn't hit that sweet spot in between both of us, what we both wanted. So we had to reshoot and revisit locations, and
yeah. So moving forward, and as much as moving around freely to shoot whatever you want, that's a way of that's amazing freedom. But when it comes to taking a brief and executing it to a certain team, sometimes that takes a little bit of experience. And I think through our collaboration, we both learn a lot from being able to gel both our styles and getting it to work, and for you to take a brief even. I think that was part of the fun of that entire collaboration, wasn't it, Niket?
Yeah, it was very, very interesting crossover.
Can you elaborate? Can you elaborate the entire process that went through in terms of how we did what we did, and your experience?
Yeah, so basically, when we had this initial idea of trying to tap on each other's forte, so we wanted to shoot our initial plan was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, to shoot what you are good at in my own way, and then vice versa. So that I think we tried that for a while, and then it didn't work out. And then after that, we thought isn't it better if we tap on our own forte and then try and combine them together? So that was images you see on the sharing screen now are what we did. And as you can see, refined studio shoots are Jeff, and the environmental shots are mine, and we incorporate that together with elements that are distinct in both of the images. Like the one you see here is smoke. Very easy to distinctively you can see in the face, and then in the environmental shot, there's smoke burning on the incense burner. There, if you look closely in every images, there's a distinct property that you can find that we both agreed on, and we both shot in our own way. That is also why in the exhibition there were names, there were short names, and those represented the properties in the crossover images that we produce. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, that was a super fun collaboration. I totally enjoyed it. Thank you.
I love it too as well. Yeah.
Cool. Shall we take a few more questions?
Yep.
We have Serbi. Serbi is talking about struggles along the way transiting from mobile phone to DSLR. How do you overcome that?
So there's I did like probably like 3 months long of research before I got my first DSLR. It's a huge jump, you know. You are investing certain amount of money into a gear, into an upgrade, and there's a vast huge difference in the technical capabilities. A DSLR can do way more. So it's wait, sorry. Your question is transiting from mobile phone to DSLR. So you know, I tried to move on progressively. When I got my first DSLR 4 years back, I didn't shoot something that's completely different. I shot something that is comfortable to me at first. So I don't have to worry about like how do I shoot something different with this new gear that I have. It's more of like learning your new DSLR settings and capabilities with something you're already comfortable shooting, so you don't have too uncomfortable points. Once you get comfortable and ready to move on, then you start to learn and unlock certain things about learning certain things about your camera. So move on progressively. You know, shoot something you are comfortable with, and learn the technical aspects of the camera.
Could you share with us what's your gear? What do you use? What is camera lenses? What do you carry in your bag when you travel?
So when I travel, I have my full gear would be like 2 DSLRs, Canon 1DX Mark II, and also 5D Mark IV for secondary camera, because sometimes when I shoot music events, a lot of things are happening at the same time. I need 2 cameras with 2 different lenses, and I have 4 lenses. So a wide angle 16 to 35 f2.8, a 24 to 70 zoom f2.8, and I have a very special prime lens 135 f2, amazing sharp lens, and I love that. And a 70-200 for telephoto. And the last one is a very small old school fisheye Canon fisheye 15mm 2.8 for like ultra wide shots. So I basically have like the almost the full range of shooting almost anything. It's just that it's just the when and where to apply which type of lenses. And I usually just to add on, my favorite combinations are the 1DX with the 24-70 and the 5D with a prime lens. I forgot to mention I have a 35mm 1.4. So 5D with a 35, or the 135, and the 1DX with the 24-70. That's my go-to, so I can get different focal length. Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a question on Facebook, okay, because we are streaming this live on Facebook as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Desmond has a question and asking, like, do you get chased away by security guards or people when you are taking the architecture or street pictures, wherever you are?
Yeah, it is a very common question, and it is I encounter this probably almost every day if I shoot, and also the environment is very important. If I am in Japan, as you know, Japan people are really friendly. You get lesser chance of being chased away. Whereas in Hong Kong or Singapore, people are like super angry and like stare at you with like you just have like just eyeballs on them. You haven't even take out your camera and like they're like staring at you like gonna beat you up. So every environment is different, and I always like to approach them with a smile if they are like if they are angry or if they chase me away, and know your street etiquettes. In on public areas, you're allowed to take anyone's photos. It's I'm just being polite that if they want the photo to be taken, deleted, taken away, please do so, because respect their privacy. But if not, it's fine. It's public grounds unless you're shooting into private property or a private area. So know your place that you are going to shoot. Actually, get a rough idea on where is public area, where is a private property, and you'll be safe actually. Yeah.
Can I just say that I think it is also because of the way you look. You're still young, with your baseball cap, you look like a student. I think this is what you should work to your advantage, which you have.
That's true.
I'm sure if you are 40 something or no, with a very fierce face, street photography becomes, I think, a little bit more challenging, because your the way you look is already like an MMA fighter already. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So it definitely helps to dress the part, look the part. Doing street
that's
photography.
very
Wouldn't
true.
you agree? Yeah,
that's very
Is that
true.
why you don't do street photography, Jeff?
Yes, totally. Look at his face.
Yeah.
I
think there's another thing about street photography is that it's always easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. So that's something that I believe very strongly about as well.
Yeah, street photography, the term in general is to me is candid. So if you ask for permission, it's not candid anymore. You don't get raw and real life actual images. You get something more post. So you can do that. It's just you get two different images, and I would always much prefer the candid one. Yeah.
Okay, up on the screen right now, guys, are some of the other genres that Yikiat does, other than what you see in his Facebook. He spent quite a lot of time shooting concerts, especially with that particular singer. What's his name again?
Lauf. Yeah. Okay. So the pictures you see here are some images I have not posted before, and the reason why is because it's not it doesn't fit my feed, but it doesn't mean that I don't have these images. I just keep them and have it in a separate portfolio to present it to potential clients via email or like phone or whatever. So a small tip to you guys is that you can shoot whatever you want, just place them in correct places. And for this page, I shot a lot of music, in particular, around 2 years or so. So I love music in general, and I love shooting music because it's very high energy, and much like street photography, every second is different. You can't really get the same exact image replicate again. So that's why I like, and also I love documenting stuff, which is also why I like travel and street photography. So documenting the festival, documenting artists into their everyday intimate life. You are kind of like the middleman. You are getting intimate, private content and filtering it out for the generic audience to see. So you have actually quite an important job in portraying how he is online and on social media. So I love the documentation process. That's why I love shooting music as well. Yeah.
Okay. And then here we have architectural jobs and shots. Are these commission stuff?
Yes, so they're all commission, and as you can see, some of them look visually nice, some of them look visually boring. It is part and parcel of doing this full time. There are times where you need to shoot something that has been done a million times and are mundane. But the harsh truth is that most of the times you need to have a balance. It's mundane and like mundane stuff in general, and like commercial stuff. Sometimes, most of the times, get you more money than things that I genuinely like which is music. Music pays less. But this is how I balance. If I shoot music full time, 100%, I cannot sustain it as a living, to be very honest. So I have to mix in. I have to balance it out with like things that you don't see, on anywhere on my social media or whatever. So yeah, I do shoot interiors. I do shoot condos, architecture, and this one, as you are looking now, is automotive, which is the middle circle of like super boring and super fun. So being shooting automotive with a campaign allows me to travel to certain places with a team and with a car, and traveling is always fun. And boring, if you are in a boring circle, it means shooting cars in the studio. That's like super boring to me. And fun is like traveling. So you're mixing both of that together. And sometimes I am lucky, I do get this kind of jobs where it's a mix of best of both worlds. So I always appreciate all these campaigns, and it's always a nice addition to my portfolio. Yeah.
Super. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some questions that are streaming in. We've got lots of questions.
Yeah, we have too many questions to keep up.
Yeah. Do you still experiment with other styles? You get from Charles.
Yes, I do. It's just you don't see it on online. I do shoot, like, despite my despite my monochromatic muted look on my Instagram, shoot a lot of colors. It's just that I don't post it up, and I'm just refining how I want my colorful images to be, and don't restrict yourself to shooting certain things. You can always shoot many different stuff, and you might learn something from there and incorporate into your style, and like vice versa. So shoot everything. Yeah, I still experiment.
From Jay, how do you create audiences nowadays? He feels like it's getting harder and harder, even with hashtags.
On Instagram or like in general?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think Instagram is your thing, so I'm definitely about Instagram.
Collaborate is very important. You reach out to big or small, like medium tier, because it's a win-win situation. You get their audience and they get your audience, and both of you guys will improve because you are seeing something from him that you don't have, and same likewise, he's seeing something from you that he doesn't have. So collaboration is a very great tool for growth, and hashtags actually in general doesn't have much impact anymore. It's unless you are using a very specific hashtag. Else, like, most of the hashtags are like very redundant now. So for growth wise, I think consistency, build a good consistent feed. Over time, people will have there will be more eyeballs on it. And Instagram stories is very important as well. Make use of the stories and engage with your audience. Ask them to share. Ask them, make high quality Instagram stories. Ask them to share. Ask them to tag a friend on the post. Like all this type of expanding networking kind of methods. And myself, I sometimes every like 2 or 3 weeks, I do like one networking post. So it's like a Instagram post, and then like the comment section are always filled with like tons of people. It's like a mini forum where I put my caption as like it's networking, and then like tell me about what you do, and then what are your aspirations, what are your inspirations, what would you like to get out of this comment section. So it's like people are going in for a reason, and then like they get to interact in the comments, and then like they get to remember the post more, and they will share. So it's more about like servicing your audience. What do they like? Service them. Yeah.
And how do you balance stories and posts? Do you do, like for example, me and my very lame game of playing with Instagram, right? When I have a new picture, I post. Then after that, straight away, I will take that same picture, I will post it on stories and say new work. Is that something?
that's actually okay. It's just you can do everything. It's just don't overdo everything. It's I also do that. Like whenever I post something, because I'm scared. Like, okay, what if they don't see the post because it's being pushed down by the algorithm? They see my stories, and then by seeing the stories, they can see the post.
Okay.
So it's okay to refer, vice versa, and then the call to action is actually very important. You can put a link, or you can put a tag to other works that you do, and that is one of the most undervalued tool, I think, because first of all, don't overuse it, because imagine you are the audience and you are viewing someone's stories. If they tag like the same thing for like 5 stories, you probably will tap out and swipe after like 2 stories or 3 stories. So use it in use in a fair amount. Don't overdo it. Always think in another person or your audience perspective. See whether this will be too much for them or too little. Think in their shoes.
What kind of frequency you reckon is a good frequency in terms of keeping consistency? You keep saying consistency.
Posting wise, if you have the content once a day or once every 2 days, because the algorithm is in a way that when you scroll finish everything, it says you have seen all posts within 2 days. Like a bar. Yeah.
Okay. I've not seen that much.
I have a lot of time, so that's why I keep scrolling, and then like I always end up with like, you have seen all posts from 2 days. So I always have that as an indicator of like, okay, 2 days is the maximum, or like the appropriate amount of time that your post should reach out, and then you need to flush in another one to top up and reach out to even more audience.
Okay.
So, posting frequently makes you relevant to the system, and it's very important. Posting frequency wise, and if you're talking about like the style wise, like, yeah, if you are shooting like architecture, post a lot of architecture, and you get a lot of architecture fans. Portraits, same portrait fans. So whatever you post, you get that type of audience. So keep a lookout for that, and be watchful, and see what you want to attract, post what you want to post. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. A question from JK Chiu. How do you manage color calibration between computer and mobile?
You mean like temperature?
I mean like for example, when you color calibrate your screen on your laptop, you have certain color, and obviously you can't calibrate phones, and then people are consuming your photography on so many various devices. Is there a one fix for all in terms of color calibration between different devices, I believe?
Ooh, I've never thought of that before, actually. I think you would be more like in detail about that.
Yeah, I guess to answer JK Chiu, in terms of computer and mobile calibration, today's world, I actually do that. All the pictures that I put out, I will check what's on my actual screen, which is color calibrated, to see that obviously that's master screen. That's good. And then I will beam it out to my iPad and my laptop, which is standard without, for example, calibration, straight out of the box. And then I will have my iPhone, and then I will look at that ecosystem between the various screens and see how all, that master image sits. And then I'll find that middle ground, in terms of color contrast to have the images look good across as many devices as possible. Because, more and more today, our photography is consumed so much so by different devices. Even on an Android phone, my pictures look way different than an Apple, for example. So if you want that kind of accuracy of your work, you almost need to have these few different devices at hand to be able to beam out before you actually publish it, to just do a test. I think that's something that, that might be useful in some ways, but it's kind of, intense to do that. Right?
Yeah, it is. And there's, how do you satisfy all the devices?
Precisely. Yeah, precisely. So, just pitch to a few, that's why I tend to stick within the Apple realm, because, there's a lot of Apple devices, and, Apple people are cooler. So,
I mean, I don't have an Android to just view it in full screen. So I use an Apple ecosystem as well. So and the good thing about Apple is that the color consistency is exactly the same. I think almost
out of the box.
Out of the box. Laptop, phone, iPad. So you don't have to worry about like the drastic color changes. It's the same. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So consistency, let's get on this subject. Regarding consistency, do you have any advice in staying consistent when you are just starting out?
Yes, you should find, let me see, like, how do I phrase it? You should have a range of like something you dislike, something you like. So put every genre of photography inside there. If you don't like shooting food, put it here. And if you like shooting portraits, put it here. And just shoot things that you like, shoot more. Things that you don't like, shoot less. And have that period for about like 3 months. And then, there will be a huge amount of work over here. Lots of things you like about portraits, and then less images about food. And then you do the exact opposite on the other 3 months, and see the difference. And then after looking at both spectrum in the opposite way, you will start to see what you truly like and what you truly don't like. And then after that, at least for me, I will stick to something that I really like and refine and hone my craft on it. So that was what I did. And I can't shoot food. I don't like shooting food. So I left that long ago at the left side of the spectrum, and I love shooting travel, street, and portraits. So I stuck to that, and then I keep shooting and refining my craft on that. And I built my consistency bubble around that, and have and edit in a certain way. So it became consistent because I was shooting the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Question from Kim. Because when we're actually shooting, a moment can disappear so fast. So do you shoot without much thought and actually plan what to post later?
Yes. When I'm shooting streets, when I'm shooting out and about, I don't have unless I have something that I really want. I usually just do run and gun, and think about the story after that. So it can work both ways. You can find story before you snap the image, or you can find story after you revisit the image. And they both are wonderful in its own ways. And I just happen to do it the other way. I let my mind run run wild, run free, and just let my body and my eyes do the work. Just go around, freestyle, just shoot, and just refine everything in post. Yeah.
Mhm. So Akbar asked, how do you edit and retouch the colors of your photos with your style? Any tips for beginners? Because like you, Short Stash, Monaris are really inspiring to him.
Oh yes. Yeah. So for like people who don't know about those two names, I follow them, and they're amazing. So what they do is they make stories out of muted tones. Monaris is super cinematic. She's based in New York. That's why there's a she's heavily influenced by cine film stuff. So it's a little bit more dark greenish, and Short Stash is dark, a little bit darker as well. And he's very amazing in incorporating like text overlays over images. So kind of like album covers you can think of, so to speak. So for me, I seek inspirations from both of them actually, which is amazing. And they something that I do in almost all of my images, and also I calibrate it in my camera actually, is to reduce the contrast. And back then, like 3 years back, I would actually increase the contrast because I have a different editing style. But in the current times, in my current style, I in fact I like to decrease the contrast, like from 0 to like -100. I like to decrease it to -75, so I can see a lot of details in the image, and then I further refine it in selective way. So if I want the face to have more depth, more shadows, I would brush it, and yeah, just giving my images a flat out look, and then just apply certain parts to it. Yeah, that's my current go-to now.
Yeah, this was something that we talked about in our previous session when Brian was doing Capture One. We talked about reducing contrast in a lot of images, because a lot of the new modern cameras, they have very high contrast.
Yeah.
With mirrorless especially. So and phase one cameras as well. So we tend to bring it down to a certain level, so that it's almost like, in video it's called S-log, right?
Yeah,
where it's flat, right? So you are able to then in post, in color grading, extract all the details, and then put in where shadows supposed to be, and put in where highlights supposed to be. So that's kind of the approach to what you and I are doing, and a lot of film DOPs are doing as well, in terms of how they grade stuff and how they shoot stuff. They keep things very flat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have Matt. Matt asking, what's the biggest challenge you face when doing commercial jobs for clients, coming from street photography background, which is more spontaneous and planned?
Revisions. because shooting street is, as you say, it's very freestyle. There's no retakes, so to speak. Commercial is the opposite. Lots of planning, lots of reshoots if they don't like it, or if you don't like it. So that's probably the hardest part. And also meeting their expectations, and like meeting your expectations, finding like the best of both worlds. That's quite hard to me. Jeff is a full on commercial for so long, so he will have like, you guys should ask him, like he might have like different struggles.
Yeah, big struggles. I mean, the world of professional photography in itself, I think, every photographer who is a professional photographer would say it is a fucking struggle. Brian smiling over there. I can see a lot of photographers smiling Warren
I'm
is
struggling
smiling
every day now.
every
Yeah.
day. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But you
I
know
should have
what?
just
As much
gotten a
as
job.
as much as we struggle and we say why, it is, one of the best jobs ever. Nobody
Yeah.
tells me what the fuck to do. I'm my own boss in some ways. I maintain my own hours.
Yeah.
I work from home. I've been working from home for decades. So it is.
I think to
definitely.
put into perspective, right? To put into perspective, for the younger crowd here. Okay,
Yeah.
so currently Raw is a studio that we are renting. So each month our expenses, right, is actually at least 5,000 to 6,000 per month. Okay. And guess what? So during this circuit breaker, while you guys are at home, doing your home-based learning, we have just burned $10,000.
God.
So that's the perspective that, if you look at it that way, do I still want to be a photographer?
Yeah. I mean, once today everybody is a photographer, right? And then everybody, parents and friends, when you take those pictures, they will go, "Oh, you're so good at taking pictures. You should turn pro, or you make a living out of these and everything."
Yeah.
Be careful. It is sometimes you need to hear it from a trained eye. Somebody who is in the business a lot better than you to give you the grim reality and tell you, are you really good or not? Because your loved ones will tell you how good you are.
Of course.
Because they love you.
Yeah.
It's not the absolute truth, right? But when you come to me and then you show me your work, I go, fuck, you're shit, stay in school, or whatever it is, right? So I think, it's about understanding yourself, because, for example, again, I love saying this thing where look at American Idol, right? We have all seen American Idol. We have all seen that one singer that goes up and sings off tune and thinks that he or she is amazing at singing, right?
Yeah.
And then all the judges behind sitting going, what the fuck is this, So there are people who are tone deaf, right? There are also people who are visually deaf, right? They have no idea, right? I mean, visually deaf as a pun of tone deaf, right? They have no idea what is visually nice and not nice. So they think it is nice. Whereas, in the bigger context, it's actually quite a crappy picture. So you kind of need to understand, good photography or that tune, what's a good pitch to be able to sing that pitch, to be able to sing that song. So these are the things that you should be wary of coming up as a photographer, to understand what's right and what's wrong, what's hit and what's not, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
agree.
That's very much agree, because there will be every day there are people like direct messaging me like, oh hey, what do you think about my work? Some of them are really nice, but there are, like what you said, like some of them that are like visually deaf. They send me like pictures of leaves and like in like a very I don't want to elaborate further. Yeah. It's just like they just ask like if it's nice, and I'm just being nice not to reply.
Yeah. So okay, everybody, if you DM Iket and he doesn't reply, it's not nice. Understand?
No.
No. I mean, as far as I know, Iket is a very open person. He takes the effort to reply every single person. If you notice, you look at his feed, he takes the effort to reply every single one of you. And say thank you. When you say, it's an amazing, image. So I think that that says a lot about this boy, and how amazing he is as a person. Knowing him for a while, I know he's got a beautiful heart. Very, very down to earth as well. So I think that's also another character every photographer needs to have. It's your character and the way you exude yourself to the public that you work with, to your peers, and not just because I've got 370 followers, I'm the big fuck, sorry man, So that's the amazing thing about Iket as well. Okay, so going on, I think we have quite a few questions about concerts and festivals. I'm going to sum it up, all right? Because we can't.
Okay.
How do you get jobs at for shooting this kind of concerts and festivals? And then when you get the job, how do you carry flash to shoot those concerts? And then are there any technical settings for shooting those concerts? Do you leverage the environmental lighting and so on and so forth?
Okay, so I am not the best and most experienced, but in general, gears wise, yes, I use flash 75% of the time, I would say, because the place I'm shooting most of the times are very dark. They're in the clubs when the lighting are very inconsistent. There are lasers and there are like strobe lights. They only appear for 0.5 seconds. So to create a hard-on consistent lighting on the artist's face or on the environment in the indoors in general, I always need a flash. However, my flash setting is always not very powerful. It is medium to low flash power. So I can get the best of both worlds.
It's just a kiss of light just to fill in so that you create a more balanced picture, something that's a bit more flat, natural. Maybe again, right? Natural. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, the ProPhoto one, A1 is a compact flash, but it's essentially a studio light that takes the form of a speed light. I think the beauty of the ProPhoto A1 is the fact that the output from that small little round light is actually a very warm light. It doesn't feel like a speed light. Speed light tends to look very cold and very sharp.
Yeah.
In terms of color temperature, in terms of the output of the flash, it's very fake, right? Whereas this A1 has a very natural, nice warmth to it. It feels more like a studio light. It's that kind of quality. It comes from the quality of that flash tube within the head, and it comes from the Fresnel lens that disperses the light. It's a very soft dispersion. There isn't that hard dispersion of light, like speed lights. So that's why you get is using the A1. Sometimes I think gear is very important. As much as there are questions, there's one question here that says, is it true gear doesn't matter? Yes, in many ways, gear does not matter, right? You get the shittiest camera, I swear to you, he can take the most amazing picture, right? It's talent, right? It is the person that cooks the dish. It's not, what frying pan he used or what oven he used, same for photographers, right? But then again, there are certain things that can make, imagine he's a talented photographer, but give him a very good gear, he can take it even further than what he already has. So I think, in that instance, in the hands of a good photographer, good gear will become even better. You know what I mean? The pictures will come across even better. But in true essence, gear does not matter. I think the best camera is the one you have with you, period. It's the one you have with you. So be it your handphone or be it, your small little camera that you carry with you, that's the best camera. It's not, because I'm using a Phase 1 or Yikiat's using a 1DX, it's not. It really isn't. Agree, Yikiat?
Yeah, very much agree. And it's like what Jeff said, the two will level you up, but in true essence, it's what you have with you is probably the best, and maximize that before you upgrade. That's what I did, at least when I first started out. And there's an additional question that I forgot to answer, which is like, how do I get like concert gigs? Is it how do I get so it can be there are two ways for me, and the first way, of course, is the best. They reach out to you, but the second way, which is the important one, is you reach out to them. You have to how do I reach out to them is that you find you have to shoot a good amount of stuff to put on your portfolio first. If you're shooting music, shoot for yourself. Get media access. There will be if you go to like festival websites and like under their media, they will always have like they'll always have vacancy for media photographers. Apply for that, and put in your details, and when you have that access granted, go and shoot the best you can, over deliver yourself, and put that under one portfolio. Keep applying, and then grow your portfolio, music portfolio bubble, and throughout the journey of increasing your portfolio, use that portfolio, reach out to management. You can find management emails easily via social media. Go to the artist, and then see who they're following, or like who's commenting on them. It takes a bit of time, but you will find their management, and then email them. You won't get an answer from all of them, but all it takes is one. All it takes is one reply, and you're good to go. So refine your own portfolio first, so you can have solid evidence, I would say, to showcase this to people who want to hire you. And as cheesy as it sounds, I have did it before in the past. If you want to shoot clubs or concerts, if you are in the venue, have a good eye on like seeing like who is like the boss, or like managing around, and then have like your phone, or like have like a name card, and then just go to them and like ask them like, hey, this is my work, blah blah blah, and it takes like 1 minute, and then there's no harm, and then they might reply you a few days later. So that's the in real life approach, and then the online approach.
Well, I mean, at the same time, I think, you should also be cautious about approaching people with also the right work. You don't go to a music festival manager and show him pictures of your feet with all dogs, right?
Yeah.
Or all
Yeah.
food, right?
Yeah.
You want to show the right things to the relevant, to the right people,
Yes.
so that it speaks to them. You only got that one chance, yeah? You only got that one chance. So you have to get it right, and you need to sell the right things to the right people, right? If I'm a vegetarian, you don't sell me chicken rice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, have some thought put into it, and not just reach out for reaching out sake.
Yeah.
They're just wasting your time, and we are wasting people's time. To me, there's no respect in terms of you reaching out to people when you don't do your own due diligence. You must always treat yourself with that professionalism when you want to reach out to anybody, and that's what exactly Wicked does in that sense. Yeah. Okay.
But
I've got
I
a very
understand that shooting music and festival, actually most of the media photographers have only like the timeline of 3 songs. Do you actually also have that kind of time frame?
Of course, if I'm a media photographer, I will have the same restrictions. That's why, and just this is like an insider tip. I shot a concert, and the concert was in the indoor stadium, so it was very big. And fun fact is, they actually, like concert is like a platform, right? So there's left and right side. So the indoor stadium is like a semicircle, so it was curved. So for media photographers, you are only allowed 3 songs. So there's a person that ushers you in, and you have to actually pick your side. You have to pick the left side or the right side. So this is very important, because for some artists, they look better on the left or right side. You have to do the research, and you have to research the artist that you are shooting. Go and check YouTube. Go and check like the live concerts that people post. Where do they like to stand for the songs? Some of them like to stand a lot on the left side. Some of them like to stand a lot on the right side. So you have to pick your side very tactically, because you only get 3 songs. You only get like 10 minutes. And if the artist keeps standing on the left side, you're on the right side, then you get nothing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think
Very
a
cool.
good platform for most of you to start is like, if let's say, you know, in your school there's like concerts or things like that, you
Yeah.
can start from there. And also there are some of those music festivals that are free, like I think just outside the Esplanade, you can try those as well. Or Timber, just bring your camera, go there and shoot, and then offer to give the bands your pictures and things like that. I think it's a good platform for you to start an experiment. Yeah. So okay, Jeff, you were saying you have another.
Yes. Okay. I have a very interesting thing that I want to do. Okay. I want to take everybody into a little bit of
Oh, wow.
evolution. I've managed to scroll right to the bottom of Kiet's feed, right? Okay, and that
Yeah,
took me
look
a
how
while.
shit
Yeah,
it was.
yeah, there you go.
I purposely kept it for
Yes.
like to see the evolution.
That's
It was
so
so
cool
cute.
that you did it. That's so amazing that you did it, because it really does inspire people, you know, to look at the very bottom of their feed. And that's something that I do a lot as well. I look at photographers that I like, and I tend to go all the way to the bottom and see how they started off in their evolution. And then you can see how they grow, how they change and evolve their style, their approach to their social media game, their cropping, their color aesthetics, and so on and so forth. So this is very, very interesting. So you were saying just now that, you know, you used to do a lot of black and white,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
right? Talk us through.
Yeah.
Talk us through as I scroll. Do talk us through. Tell us a little bit.
So the reason why I shot a lot of black and white is because the colors are too much for me at the very start. So I would just want to focus on you know, shooting structures and getting the frame right in general, which actually helped me a lot, because as soon as I got out of the black and white phase, which is probably about 3 months, I shot full on black and white for 3 months. I shot color. I started shooting color, and my framing and composition wasn't as difficult because I already developed the fundamentals in that. So all I had to worry was how to get the composition and framing is already done. How do I get the colors right? So
Hey, you shot a leaf.
yeah, I shot a leaf.
Okay, carry on.
So after shooting the colors and getting the framing and composition, I started experimenting with different types of colors, making my colors more vibrant or more muted. As you can see, it fluctuates a lot. As Jeff scrolls, it's a mix of like muted tones and also like very vibrant blue, like vibrant reds. So
Because you're
that was
finding
my
yourself.
yeah,
right?
I'm
You're
finding
still
myself.
finding yourself.
And
Yeah,
as you can
haven't
see, this
found-
period of time, I really love shooting architecture. So you can see a lot of full-on architecture shots and a bit of color play. So this part, if you go down some more, yeah. So if you see that long exposure shot, the purple one, that was my first DSLR shot. So I was very curious about long exposure photography, and I can't do it with my phone. So I did research, and then I got my first DSLR after 3 months of thinking, and that was my first shot. Yeah.
First
So-
DSLR shot long exposure, which looks very normal, very nothing. Okay. You got 2,100 likes there. my one picture doesn't even have like 200 likes. What? What the fuck? Amazing. Okay, carry on.
So I started after that, as you can see, I started liking darker timing images at night, as you can see. So once I got my DSLR, the night mode, you know, like being in the after the sunset kind of is unlocked because I can shoot in lower light setting. So and then as you can see, my editing style kind of changed a little bit. As you can see right below, it was like really clean, and then now it's a bit more faded and slightly more muted, slightly more dark, and there are still some colors involved. So this was like the first initial DSLR phase that I went through. Yeah. And you know, architecture. I still love architecture.
Yeah, I can see that you've been you know experimenting with many different techniques as well. You know, you were playing with Astro. You were playing with you know wait, this one, you know, this kind of
long exposure, like
yeah,
like light painting.
So, you know, exactly, you know, a lot of techniques, and you're still figuring things out. You know, you're doing splits and then copying, pasting above. So, you know, from the evolution, I can start to see, as much as it is, one thing has been very consistent is the fact that you have a very unique perspective in seeing things, in seeing lines, right? The way I see your pictures, in the way you see lines, you know, you've got a very compositional eye. Right here, they've got this, you know, grid here, the grid here, you know, this diagonal line. And then there's this one shot of Fullerton, with Fullerton, where you drew that extreme line across the, you know, wait, I think I lost it. Where's that Fullerton picture? Oh, fuck, where is it?
Is it a DSLR?
There, this one.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
This was real,
that
like,
line.
there was...
Yes, exactly. Right. You drew the line down the middle, you know, with warm and you know, and cool, and that has been also a signature of yours. You know, having conflicting colors within an image, and you can see that, you know, this is almost, I feel, this is almost the start of your hue coming to be already. This was almost a pivotal moment. If I'm going to break you down, this is where I break you down, and then, you know, in the next post you're looking at that same aesthetic, that blue and that warmth, you know, and then slowly you start to
see,
get
like,
comfortable with the color, right?
Yeah.
You know, so yes, I think you know that's something that you need to grow with, you need to build upon, and it took Yikit, you know, a long time. You know, he's still figuring things out, as you can see here, still figuring things out. You know. There isn't that maturity yet, but you can see, you know, he is starting to develop an aesthetic, a style, you know. So let me fast forward a little bit. You know, he's still figuring out. See, it took him so many, you know, weeks and months, you know, to figure it out. You know, if you're looking at, you know, a post every couple of days, this is looking into months already. Agree?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's It's a long process, and as you can see, as Jeff is scrolling, colors are more defined now. You can see a lot of blues and reds, and a lot of complementary colors, so to speak. So that was a great defining phase for my photography timeline. And at that point in time, I love shooting sunset. You see, it's all sunsets, like all 5 to 7 p.m. So
that's good light. That's good light. You know, in a lot of great photography, it's always shot at that moment in time. You know, dawn or dusk are the best light because it's low. It's warm. It's contrasty. It comes from the side. There's a lot of shadows. You get more dramatic skies. You know, so you know, if you talk about the evolution of photography in general, most amazing photography by photographers have always been shot in dawn or dusk, you know, in the golden hours, right? So here you can see you added drone photography into your repertoire. Yeah. Was this the first drone image you did post?
I don't think so. If you scroll down, it was. Oh wait, it was a little bit more. It was that garden shot. That if you go up some more, up. No, one on top. Yeah, this one. So this was like, when I first got it, I was so excited because I looked at it on Google Maps and like it's very interesting. The Gardens by the Bay looks like very majestic from lower ground up, but I've never seen it from high up down. So I got this shot and I was like, wow, it looks so different.
First drone picture, and you just only have 9,000 likes. Okay, so as we grow, you can see again, colors. There's a bit of the hue coming. Now we start to see the more intense development of your colors already. That cyan meets warmth, but still very intense.
Very intense, rich. And there's also like you also can see that at that point in time, after a few months, a lot of people tried to do the same thing as well, and then everybody was doing the same thing. So I got kind of sick and tired of it. That's why I moved on as well.
Yeah, I think that's one key thing that a lot of really great photographers do, is to be able to be one step ahead of everybody else. If you're always doing what's trending, you're always doing what's cool, then you'll always be, a step behind. You should be leading. You should be doing things that nobody has done, so that you are always that one step ahead of people. And then when you're done with it and people catching on, you're already moving on to the next thing. Nobody can catch you, and you will always be ahead. You always be ahead of the competition. This is another amazing shot of yours that I feel is also true to your eye, right from that Fullerton underpass in your younger days, and this is still drawing that line down the middle, the split. I think that's the consistency in your eye, right? And then here we start to see you desaturating already. I start to see your more muted tonality already. This is one of my most favorite picture of yours.
One of my favorite too.
Yeah. There's an intensity in the color, but yet the color is not that intense. It's a muted intensity, if I can even say it. It's such an oxymoron to say it, but I think that kind of sums up how I see that image. I'm a big fan of your work. If you notice, a lot of your work I like one. I contributed to the thousand.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, as you can see from the feed, I started to incorporate more everyday life, less architecture. Although there are still architecture, so as you can see, there are more street and like this everyday life, finding like things in our commute, mundane lives. So that was also a pivotal moment. Yeah. So I started discovering I actually like shooting everyday life, and I hone on that craft and like make it better, make it visually aesthetic everywhere. So yeah.
And you start to put yourself in your pictures as well. I noticed here.
Yeah, like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. It took a long time, and as unimportant as it sounds, it was important to me because I had to decide. It was a
strategic move.
It was a strategic move. I didn't think it will affect me in a huge way, but in fact, it affected me in the biggest way possible because I started putting myself out maybe 6 months before I graduated. Not graduated. Before I finished my NS, my military. So I started to get more eyeballs on myself. Like I developed my own personality, and straight after army, I got a campaign where I was sent to Italy to be a model for the watch and also to shoot the watch. So I got 2 jobs in one. So if I don't put myself out there, I would only probably have gotten to shoot the watch and not put myself in front and like post it as advertisement.
Because
even not get a job at all.
You're an influencer, right? And you took the photographic route. To me, I think your kind of influencer is a lot bears more weight to me because you took the route of showing your craft first and then yourself. I think that's so much cooler than, hey, look at me, I'm this, that, and I'm influencer. I hold this camera, I go where, and then, your craft doesn't speak and support you. You don't have that base, that fundamental weight, that supports you up. So I think, your rise is definitely the right way, of doing things, I feel, because I find there are a lot of lame influencers running around, trying to be or are doing that kind of stuff, where they don't put much effort into their craft and develop that technique and that approach to photography. It becomes very frivolous, and I think for people to follow that, it's almost you are creating a world with a lot of frivolity and there's no weight, substance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So to me, the photos and the craft is the first, and personality is second. I always emphasize more on the image itself. So it is in fact actually a kind of a winning strategic move. But I will, for now, at least for now, I will never put my personality as a very first. It's always the photos and the craft behind first. And the personality touch is more like being more casual, being more human. Have a person that represents all these photographs, which I think is important nowadays. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Any other questions? As I scroll through, you can pick off some questions on the chat while I take people through. This is that shoot, right? This is that job where you did the watch, right?
Yeah.
That's actually
the first one.
That's actually the first one to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were the model, and then you shot all this
and I
as
shot
well.
the watch. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm such a mega fan. I know your work.
Thank you. So I saw a question. It's like when you receive overseas modeling and shoot offer jobs, how much trust do you put in that email? Because that involves flying overseas to take up a job. So actually, they got in contact to me, and I reach out by calling them, so that to make sure it is legit. And I also happen to just now on that post, actually 2 of them are my friends, so I happen to know that both of them are going. So I hop on the call with them and ask them. I hop on the call and ask them like, hey, are you guys doing this? And then what is the details? So to see if it's legal or not, just check their email address and make phone calls, and also like make sure they do everything first. They get the flights for you first, and they get the accommodations for you. And if people are doing the same job, ask if it's legit or not. So yeah, regarding overseas travel, sometimes it can get risky, and I have friends who have other friends that are getting scammed actually for once or twice. So you be sure to check like the email legitimacy and ask around. Yeah. So okay, this one is very funny because he asked me, hey YK, how to get away with flying drone higher than 200 feet? So this is probably I think I only spoke this with people in real life, not online. So funny story is, when I first got my drone, there was no hard-on rule, so I flew so those images you see are actually 3-4 years back, before the laws are actually enforced, when there was no gray area. When I first flew it, there was so much gray area, and there was like it just seems like there's no law, because there's no like anything that's like advertised like, hey, no flying above like 200 feet. So I actually flew like very high, like 300-400 feet, and I got amazing images. And then I got caught by the aviation security. I went to the airport, and it was the worst feeling ever, because I was not there to travel. I was there to go to their office and
how did they catch you?
Online. Yeah. They saw my images here. Yeah.
So
So
you shot with a wide angle lens, lor?
Oh, I would love to do that, but if you look at the image, there's no way. Like, can you even say like I shot on a helicopter and they like there's no helicopter service, photo shoot service in Singapore. So, so I got caught, and they sent me an email and I had to go down. If not, I'll get fined. So I had to go down, and had to they had to interrogate me, because of my flying. It was not under the legal height, and I really did not know back then. So I told them the truth. Hey, I really don't know. There was no like hard on rule on all this flying stuff. And surprisingly, they were so nice. They told me like, oh, they're going to do a recording of like interviewing me, and all I have to do is say, I don't know. I don't know that all these rules were implemented, and that was long ago. So I said that, and then they said, this time it should be fine. I should be issued a stern warning, and then after that, no more. So what they are looking out for is actually like back then. What they are looking out for is actually like people who are flying around military bases. That is very, very confidential and private, and flying to take private images. So that was a harsh fine, no warning at all. What I did was just casual, visually aesthetic images. So I got away with that 3 years back. Right now, do not fly over the height limit, because there are harsh rules, and you have to even register your drone to even do shots. So that's why you don't see drone images of Singapore anymore. I don't do that anymore. I don't do super high images anymore unless I apply permit for it, which takes a super long time and costs a lot of money.
How about traveling? When you travel, and when you do all these amazing drone shots,
yeah. So when I travel, I use the drone because how do I say? I would like to say I just leverage it as because I'm a foreigner. So if they catch me, I would just say I don't really know the rules, and usually they won't catch. So I'm trying to get away with it, but I've been posting very, very little drone shots, and those are all actually like 1 or 2 years back. So in fact, nowadays I don't really bring my drone overseas anymore. So it was when the gray area was prominent. Nowadays there are a lot of strict laws. So so that's why I am more alert on it, and I don't bring my drone anymore to overseas shoots. Very rarely.
I think as photographers or drone photographers, we have to be very mindful of each country's culture and legal.
They have their own maybe like palace, or like you shouldn't even fly, and
exactly. Don't get caught and then be stuck and imprisoned in a foreign country. It can get really really fucked up really fast. So do be very, very careful. I mean, you can only play that cute young boy card for so long. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't know the student. But it's really scary. One thing I like about what you're doing now, and I notice a lot of that now, is the fact that you are building upon almost like a series of pictures, and that's very fascinating to me. I love how you take this one subject, and then you just keep building upon it, within that story that I would sell.
Yeah, that's why I like my favorite part of Instagram now is the carousel series. The sliding feature is I can put more stuff that I usually won't put, because last time I can only post one, so I have to pick like the best one. Nowadays I can put 10, so I can put like a series and I can document and like show the process. For example, this telephone booth, that's like I can shoot many angles and put them up, instead of like last time I can only pick like the best angle and like have to be I have to be so sad because like all these are in my archives, but I can bring all of them out now. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I used to, I always tell my mentees that, when you shoot something, create a series and build upon it. And I almost tell a narrative, a story to show people, the different aspects of that one particular subject. So here being this telephone booth and how you think, you
take on the
create a visual,
booth,
exactly, a visual narrative all around it. And I think that's, pretty amazing. And that's something that I really like in what you're doing right now. And in terms of the maturity of your work, it has matured so much right now that this is definitely a very distinctive style. It's such a distinctive style, by way of you can do this indoor, right? This is so bloody indoor, and then you can take that same aesthetic and do it outdoor. In the same quality of light, in the same color aesthetic, and that's pretty amazing. And then going back indoor again, so that's so cool that you can have this ability to balance, and not shoot something indoor and outdoor and look completely different. Obviously, they're indoor, outdoor. That's why it's different, but you're able to still hold that look, and that's very, very impressive.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So that's my probably my next target, and I'll probably move on after that. But my target to hit for now is to develop a formula for myself to apply to almost everything, daily life, so I can capture whatever I want and that is nice to me, and apply the same look throughout all of that.
Awesome. We've got Sir B asking advice for people struggling with Breeze, especially for students in school when they want to create without limits and freely. I understand you have the same issue, and how do you overcome it eventually?
A lot of communication with the client, with the person who's giving you the brief. As much as you can give, as much as you want to give your full 100% creativity in a brief, in a job. In the real harsh world, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can. If not, you will be directing your own campaign, right? The campaign is passed down to you because they want to have their own say in it. So I always find a balance. I always tell them I can actually do this and do that, and then they will say, actually, I don't like this, I don't like that. So a lot of back and forth communicating, and tell them that, show them other works that you have done. Hey, I can create this similar thing, and all I need is for you to let me create a little bit more freely in this certain manner, and then I'll be able to show you this kind of images. Some agency, some clients just need visual proof, and sometimes you just need to show them that. Yeah, but Jeff has probably a great understanding of this because he is in this industry for a very long time. So I'm sure he can add on to what I'm saying. Yeah.
In terms of Sir B's question about creating briefs, right? Understanding brief. I think again, I will echo what you just said. It is about communicating boundaries and expectations from the people that's giving you the brief. You need to understand what they want to see out of you, and then you need to also conduct what I call allergy tests, by showing pictures or by showing references to see where their limits are, so that not to go over the limit, and then to be on point in terms of, because end of day, when you are shooting something for somebody, you are offering a service. You are executing something that they need, and in turn you take money, right? So because of that, you are obviously you have to deliver, and in the ideal world, they come to you, they like you for who you are because you are able to do this look, this style, and then they let you do your thing. That's the ideal world, right? But in today's world of Google and YouTube and everybody thinks they are an expert in something today, right? I will have clients coming to me who tells me how to light, how to shoot, right? I mean, I've been shooting and lighting for 30 years, and these clients would in turn around and tell me what to do. I'm like, okay, So it's end of day, you need to kind of understand where you stand within that brief and then execute it to the best of your abilities. And, if it's a job well done, they will come back and they will recommend you to other people. And of course, doing it with all the humility and with no ego and executing your job to the best of your ability. I think that's what would give any photographer longevity. In this business, there are just way too many options for clients out there to pick and choose any photographer they want. There are photographers that will do for free. There are photographers who will pay to shoot for you, right? And then there are photographers who are at this price range, and then at that price range, it's going to be so great. There are so many different kinds of price ranges and different qualities. So it's a client's market. Client can pick and choose how much they want to spend, and then they throw stone, they will find a photographer, right? I mean, obviously we are those photographers that are slightly more because we have, a more distinctive look. So we price ourselves higher. So, you might say, for example, we are a bit of that Louis Vuitton product bag, right? Then there's always a knockoff bag from Zara that looks like that Louis Vuitton bag, that you can get for a fraction of the price, obviously without the quality, right? The stitching is different. The leather they use is different. So that's where, we need to educate clients to understand that, hey, you come to us, you get that stitching and that quality leather, and this is what comes with buying into a Louis Vuitton bag, for example, right? You can definitely get the Zara bag, but it's going to last you 2 months, and then so on and so forth, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So Casey has that question. How do you define a good image yourself? Because everyone, especially for professionals, have their own perspective.
A good image for me would be it has to be timeless. I often ask myself before posting, and that's why sometimes some images don't make it up on my post. I always ask myself, if I put out there, many people will see it and they will remember it. So my question to myself is, will that image or the subsequent amount of images, will I look back at it again and rediscover and like it the same way, or at least like it 5 years down the road? So it must emulate a certain emotion to me and also have that certain timelessness effect. So I always ask myself for many, almost all of the images I create. And of course, there are some images that are not as timeless, are not as good, but keep on practicing and you will find what's good to you. And to me, good is it has to emulate certain emotions, number one, and number two, it has to have certain kind of timelessness. Yeah.
That's very good advice. Very, very good advice. Being timeless. Yeah, because again, like I say, in today's world, everybody's trying to be trending and doing what's a novelty or what's hot right now. Yeah, awesome. Okay, I guess we can take one or two more last questions. We've got quite a loaded question from A, in terms of, and there's quite a few questions in there. If you don't mind, you are like, if you can answer those.
Yeah. So A asks, when you first started out, were you able to just go out and shoot freely, as in like not feeling awkward? And were there struggles? So if there was, how did I overcome it? And also, when I travel for leisure with non-photography friends or family, how do you actually find time to shoot and let them feel like not letting them feel the holiday is wasted because they have to wait for you? Very relevant everyday kind of question. When I first started out, I didn't have the budget. I didn't go just for a photo job. I had to go with family. I have to do, those kind of family stuff. And then, um, to answer you for traveling for leisure, um, I find time to shoot basically on like being compromising with my family. Basically telling them like, yeah, I can accompany you for this, and then can you give me like 2 hours off? Just 2 hours. I just need 2 hours today. And or like at night when they're sleeping, you can go out and shoot if you're in a city or if like anywhere that's viable. So just find time gaps in between and make compromises to them. That was what I did back then. And also when I first started out, was I able to go out and just shoot freely? Yes, I can. And back then I was still schooling, and also military. So I only went out during my free time, after school or after when I came out of camp. So I just made use of my time, maximize my time to build the portfolio that I was about to present to many other people. And my struggle, of course, was there was always not enough time. I wish I have all the 7 days, but I only have like 2 days or 3 days. So I had to plan, sort of. So when I was in the military, I was in the camp for 2 days. It's a shift work. So 2 days I have to be in the camp, then 2 days I was outside. So during the 2 days when I'm inside, I do everything digital. I do emails, I do planning on like what can I shoot, or if I have a job, how should I execute it? And then when on the 2 days I'm outside, I do the execution. So time will not be wasted. So I always plan in advance because I don't have the luxury of time. But as being in the army made me realize that time is very important. And when I finish army, when I have the full 7 days as a freelance full time, I never took this for granted, and I made use of every time I have, and I realized that you can actually like improve yourself very quickly. Just don't procrastinate as much, and don't be as lazy. Yeah, and you'll be able to actually progress very fast, way more than you think. Yeah.
Lovely advice. Well, it's I mean, when you're having fun, time goes very fast. It's already 10:30. Is there any other questions from anybody that YK can answer for you? Do throw one in, or we've got one more. Let's take this as the last, okay? Okay, we got interesting ones. I'm a full grade student.
Wear a cap?
But I love photography. How do you manage to convince your family that photography is a viable option for a job? We had this conversation.
I feel great student, but I love photography. How do you manage? Oh wow, yeah, it's a very relevant question because although I'm not a fail grade student, I was supposed to go into uni. I had a placing actually, so I was almost stepping into school. What I did to convince my family is that 1.5 years or 2 years before, I actually started building. So I actually got it was very, very small jobs. But there was a pivotal point in time where I appeared on a newspaper. And I had interviews for a TV segment that's about 10 minutes. So that was like considered great achievements back then. That I can use to convince my family that, hey, I did photography and it landed me on the newspaper, it landed me on the TV, and I think it's a viable option. I think I can do this full time. So can you give me I made a deal with them. Can you give me 1.5 years? And I will fully commit to this. And if I can't, I just go back to school. And 1.5 years to me back then when I was 21 is nothing. When I was, being that young, 1.5 years is nothing, but it's everything if you commit to it. So I fully committed to it. I didn't, and my reason for this is that I didn't want to go to school and do photography, because I'll be doing both half-heartedly. I want to give 101% in one thing. And at that point in time, I realized that I actually really like photography and want to do it as a job. So I managed to convince my parents after a very long time. And I made a deal with them 1.5 years. And now it has been 2 years. I'm very happy to say I don't need to go back to school anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing for me as well. What I went through was exactly the same as Iket, because when I was in university, I wanted to do, I enjoyed photography, as a job, because it really gives me a lot of part-time money. Yeah, as a student, so it was really good money then. But then the thing is that your family will think that it's not a proper job because it's in the arts. Yeah. So I told my parents that, give me 2 years, I prove to you that, that this is a viable job. And in fact, school was 4 years. I think I became a full-time photographer in 2 years. Yeah, even before graduation. So I think that was one of the reasons where my parents actually trusted me and said that, okay, by all means, and it has been 11 years since. Yeah. So I guess it takes a bit of dedication and perseverance to get through it. At the same time, if you know that you are a fail grade student, it also shows one thing that, if you want to succeed in certain aspect of your life, I think you cannot just throw away your education just like that, because I think education at tertiary level helps you to solve problems, and also help you to get a good communication skill with your lecturers, with your classmates, projects, working with groups and things like that. I think these are all fundamentals of what you can learn in school that will prepare you for the outside world. Because if you don't take it seriously, and if you think that, if you feel and just do arts, I don't think you will go very, very far, even though you are talented. Let's put it in a very positive, situation. Yeah. So I think it's really important to try to at least, get your education to a certain level, and then at the same time work very hard on your craft that you like. Yeah.
The both of them have very similar stories in the sense that they both have that one catalyst that pushes them to want to do this so badly. They made a deal with their parents, for example. Right? Give me that 1 year, give me that 2 years.
It's a bet.
You need that invincible force to almost push you off the edge and go, okay, I've got this 1 year that I need to prove to my parents or prove to anybody, that this is something that I need to do, or even if it's to yourself. So I think, as young people or as young photographers, you sometimes need to put yourself out there and challenge yourself and push it to the limit and have something behind that's almost the catalyst that fans it. Why Iket is pushing so hard to work so hard, within the 1.5 years to convince his parents, and why Brian did that deal with his parents as well, was all because they knew they wanted this so badly. Sometimes, young kids and photographers, they don't want it badly enough. They don't want it badly enough to the point where, it is like, I'll do lah, and then they cruise along and then maybe do a bit lah, and then, okay lah, didn't make it lah, fall back, go back to my engineering degree lah, go back to my whatever school lah, and I'll do that. It's kind of like sad because you have that fallback plan. Sometimes you just need to rip the safety net and go, I'll do or die, so I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. Brian's very methodical way of doing the school, which is no wrong as well. School does definitely make you a better person in terms of all those life skills and so on and so forth. But if you really want to do something so well, sometimes it's about just doing it as early as possible. Look at Tiger Woods, look at Lewis Hamilton, right? They all were doing what they do ever since they were a kid. As the minute they can walk, he was already in a toy car driving already, in a go-kart, right? The minute he can pick a racket up, he's already hitting balls already, or a golf ball or whatever it might be. So all these people dedicated a long time of their life to be so good at what they do at such an early age, right? So sometimes it's about that, about just dedicating a ton of time into that craft, because all these don't come easy. You think we all can be Wikiat? No, right? You think we all can be Brian? Or it can be me? We all put in years and years and years and years of our life to the craft, to what we do to reach the level that we are. It didn't happen overnight. You understand this? It doesn't happen overnight.
So I think I was also okay. Actually, in fact, in my degree was done in 4.5 years. It was by right supposed to be done in 2.5 years. So what happened was that my grades wasn't very good. Yeah, I was only between like 2.5 GPA. I was almost a fail grade, like you said. Yeah, but the thing is that when the school told me, okay, the school administrator actually told me, say, you have such a good career now, because that was already in my second year. And I actually took 1.5 years to actually consider myself successful. I actually booked about 80 jobs in that 1 year. And I became one of the Singapore's most expensive wedding photographer within 2 years' time. So that the people in my school, or the lecturers, the dean, actually, they all knew about my business. They knew about my work. And guess what? The people who told me to stay were my lecturers that were from US. My dean asked me to stay in school. And it was a local administrator that actually encouraged me to quit school. He said that, Brian, don't waste our time here. You can just quit school and start working now and concentrate. Why do you have to put yourself into coming to school, do projects, and then fail and, things like that? Guess what? Ever since that, I actually worked even harder to balance my work and my school, and I graduated in a longer period of time. But the thing is, the most important part is that I didn't give up. Yeah, even until now, talking about it still put me close to tears because of people that detracts you, people who try to make you give up. But don't ever give up, because if you give up so easily, right, you will never succeed in almost anything. Yeah, even if you do, that's just pure luck, and luck will always run out. Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway from the three of us, or anyone who can come and talk about the experience, it's always that you have to do your time. The due time that you do will return somehow later. Yeah, it's just not now, but it will come back to you. Yeah.
I mean, if you talk about fail grade, I'm the epitome of fail grade. I didn't pass. I didn't pass primary 6. I failed primary 6. I repeated half a year, and I just fuck it. So my highest education is primary 5. I mean, you don't need education to be an amazing person. As long as you know what you want to do, you do it very, very, very well, you can make a very, very decent living.
But there's only one Jeff that's doing that now. Yeah. So, yeah.
but it's 30 years.
The case study not a lot. The case study not a lot, so don't try.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see a little bit of myself in both of you. In that hunger to want to be amazing, to be far better than everybody else, and just this is just not good enough. How can I do better? Brian's always asking me, sending me pictures that he shot. Hey, what went wrong? How this or that? It's that hunger to want to be better, and not just because he is one of the top wedding photographers. He don't ask me about stuff. He has that humbleness to actually reach out to me and ask me, because obviously I'm a lot higher than him, and then there's always somebody above me, right? You see, I'm high, there's somebody above me higher, and there's somebody above higher than the higher person. So I mean, we should all learn to excel as much and just put yourself out there, because today in photography, there's just way too many photographers. So you need to really work triply hard than my peak. You know, for somebody to be a professional photographer, it took a lot of equipment and a lot of experience to do photography, because not everybody can take pictures. There wasn't the software, there wasn't the app, there wasn't the iPhone, there wasn't that DSLR or mirrorless or push button to help you take a picture. You know, it was all pure skill because it was film. And when I shot it, nobody knew if I got it or not until a few days later. So there was a lot of trust in me as a photographer when I shoot film, because only I can do it. So I was paid big bucks, right? But now everybody can do it. So you have to be so much better than everybody to be even contending with the top photographers like, you know, Brian and myself or whoever, because we are killing it at a different level. So for you to even come in, you need to have that hunger to want to push past us at 1,000%, because we are really grinding at 200% already. You know what I mean? Yeah, because there's always that young Yik Kian, you know, who is coming up, you know, behind me and chasing me, you know. There's always, and then, you know, then in front of Yik Kian, there'll be Brian, because Brian, you know, we're all in different age groups, right? So, you know, there's always that young guy behind the young guy, behind the young guy, behind the young guy, you know. And then young guys will want to work with young guys. So at some point, nobody want to work with Uncle Jeff anymore. They want to work with Brian, who is at the age group where all the creative guys are at the age group. They're all hip and everything. Likewise for Yik Kiat. Yik Kiat will come up to a maturity in his mid to late 20s, where all creative people, art directors, creative directors, or hip, you know, they're all at the 20-something. They just got out of design school. They join ad agencies. They want to work with their hip people. They won't call Uncle Jeff, right? Uncle Jeff will probably work with the bigger clients who are way senior level, the executive creative directors, the global creative directors. And that's what I do. So we all have our own journey at different times in our life. Yeah, you know what I mean? So find your journey, find your life, find your crowd to hang out with, and then you help each other that way. I think that's the best thing. And that's what we do in RAW, right? We are doing this in RAW to create this kind of community, this kind of surroundings where we can be amongst our peers, be amongst our photographers, because you know, as you all know, RAW is led by, you know, Brian and myself, you know, and Alex and Daniel, you know, the four of us, we ultimately run RAW, and RAW being the word in itself. When we came up with the name, we wanted it to be, you know, philosophical in a sense. We want to cultivate things, and then, you know, the idea of the word raw, you know, because there's so much rough, you know, in the diamonds in the rough, and I think, you know, we want to cultivate that and help build the industry. So this is essentially raw, right? Maybe Brian, you can you know, share a little bit about what raw is to the industry and to the community here.
Actually, I shared just now when you disappeared, when you disconnected.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Sorry about that then.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, lovely. You know, what we're doing with our Zoom sessions is exactly what we have been doing in person. In this space, in our studio space.
Because
space here,
before
this is what we've been doing.
Before all this, you know, circuit breaker, what we were doing were actually live. That means that we actually do it in person in our studio, and we even had like live shoots where we have a live audience to actually sit down there and watch us shoot something, and we'll explain the lighting setup, we'll explain everything in details to you. Yeah. So I personally hope that, you know, when this whole circuit breaker finish, and then we can all meet again, have another big party at RAW and have all you guys join us. Yeah.
Yeah, but until then, you know, we are putting out, you know, content three times a week now. Exhausting, but very fruitful, because, you know, we get a lot of, you know, inspirations from talking to, you know, talented photographers like Yik Kiat, Brian, and then having a lot of other photographers from all around the world join in. I think that's also very inspiring for us to know that, you know, whatever we're doing, you know, we're doing something right? For people to want to come in and listen to us. Yeah. So we thank you for that, and you know, to those of you who have been, that consistent faces that we see every week, every session. I thank you a lot. I really appreciate you. And to those of you who are new, we hope to see all of you again. This Wednesday, in fact, we have a beauty retouching. Session where I will share how I'm going to be retouching some of those beauty images that I do as a beauty photographer. So do follow us on our social pages to get more information about those events in terms of the link and so on and so forth. So remember, it's always Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 p.m.
So this Wednesday, Jeff, for those who are not familiar with the term beauty, it also means like portraits for beauty products and things like that. So the light is usually very clean and requires, retouching of skin and things like that. So if you want to learn a bit more, you can just come in and see how Jeff does skin retouching and how he, adjusts everything to make it look perfect. Yeah. So I think this is one of the skills that you can pick up and you'll be, you will use it for most of your photography career if you shoot humans. Yeah. Then it's
also an extension. Brian did his Capture One session last week. So it's essentially an extension of what Brian did with color grading and Capture One. And then we are taking it to the next step where it's about retouching now. After you color graded, you need to retouch, right? So that's kind of what we do. We want to do things in a certain evolution. We want to share things with you where we take you through processes and techniques and workflows in a way that works through your career as a photographer. So
actually, I just got an idea. Maybe we should do a challenge one of these days, right? Where you, me, and Iket, because Iket uses Lightroom, right? And the both of us actually uses Capture One. So we should find one common image, and then the three of us will do a demo of how we will treat that image, and then see who do what and how it comes out too. I think that might be interesting as well.
Yeah, that would be very, very interesting. I would love to see that. Maybe perhaps the community here, perhaps you can drop in in the comment section on our Facebook and tell us what that something is. Maybe we can pick and choose that theme or that item, whatever it may be, I don't know, aircon remote or something, I don't know. And then we will shoot it, and all right.
Sounds
cool.
amazing.
Lovely. Thank you, Iket.
So much,
I want to thank you very much for offering your time to speak to our community.
No problem.
And you've always been very, very supportive of Raw. Thank you for that. And to everybody, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Iket, would you have any last words you want to say to the huge amount of group? Today has been the biggest session we've ever had, reaching almost 80 people at one point. So your following is power. Thank you for that. We just have to put your name on everything lah, and then we'll follow.
I like everyone who's still in this group. Thank you guys for this session. I learned a lot from your questions actually, and made me think about a lot of different stuff. We look back and my journey was interesting, and I have all the links on my Instagram profile. You can check them out there, and I'll be doing more videos on educational stuff, like how to shoot this, how do I retouch this and all that. So keep a lookout for that on YouTube and Instagram, and also thank you Raw for hosting this, because I found out about Raw through Jeff, and I found out about Jeff through the exhibition, and Raw is a great community to have it's a great crossover community for great crossovers. people from different ages. Usually like communities are like only defined to a certain age group or a certain category. I think Raw is has great diversity. So like, shout out, because like it's a great space to, when there's great crossovers, you get out of the box ideas and networking stuff. So that's amazing. And
to end this,
yeah, I know.
biggest question.
Why am I wearing cap? Because my hair is very long, and I mean I can show you like if you see, it's like so long, like so long.
Damn.
And
Yeah.
and I like to wear cap because like it's kind of like a look that I've defined, and also I'm super freaking lazy to style my hair, and I always look fresh if I wear a cap, so
Look like a young boy. Then you get away with the aviation authority.
just act innocent. Yeah.
You go with the hair, I tell you straight away, put you in jail.
Oh yes. Yeah. So I I will probably wear my cap for 10 years until my hair drops, and then
then you rock it like me.
So yeah, thanks guys. I knew that question was coming, because I was like, I'm gonna wear a cap at home, and then like people gonna ask me questions. But yeah, that's your answers, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Good night,
Thank you
everyone.
guys.
Everyone.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you guys. Good night. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.